Hi there, and welcome back to my channel. This is Crafty with Jackie, where you get crafty with a girl named Jackie. And today I'm going to be doing a fun sketchbook tour to show you how much I've actually improved with my drawing practice and some tips and tricks to help you just kind of start drawing every day. And you'll really start to notice once you put in that habit, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes every day, you'll pretty much start to improve within even less than a few weeks of doing it. I mean, this whole sketchbook is probably done over the past 2 to 3 months of doing at least 1 to 2 pages a day. And here you can see how I kind of helped start this daily practice is just through looking at random household objects like nail polish, pens, coffee mugs, Aquaphor, as we can see here, and just drawing it and sketching it. And before you can kind of jump in and get a more realistic look, I started by using ink and drawing and trying to illustrate things with an ink medium, such as like pen, or this is done in a micron brush pen. And you don't really need too much fancy supplies. Regular pencils or any color ink pens that you have around your house will work. I think what kind of helps is that you're just starting to learn to get comfortable with drawing and the page itself. And it can be really intimidating, at any level, I've said before, regardless of your skill level, to just kind of start drawing and drawing what you see. Some people ask, how do you draw realistically, or how do you get something to look just like the subject you're doing? And there's really no easy way besides just studying what the object or subject is and just practicing. I think what is kind of really cool about this is that I feel like I like to look at drawing from realism by reading with my hand, if that makes sense. So you're reading with your eyes as you would a book, but you're reading it with your hand as your pen is in your hand, and using just different subjects. These are portraits I did from just videos I watched on YouTube, or people in magazines that I looked at. I then started kind of getting into different facial things. I've never been good at drawing portraits, and I was really happy with how some of these started to do overall as a new beginner. And the more I explored in different mediums like graphite and charcoal, of course marker and ink. And eventually you can see I started to get good, dare I say good, and starting to make art. And what's really fun about that is seeing all the hard work pay off when you start to actually make these beautiful pieces that you can yourself look and think like, wow, that's really good. But without the bad, we can see there's not only good in here. There's probably every 10 to 20 drawings, I might have one good one, if that. It's pretty rare. And so I think that's really fun about the art practice itself, is that you're not always going to get a masterpiece every time you go. Some things look just squiggly and unput together, while others are more abstract and look redefined through technique and just practicing back and forth with what the subject is, different things. So I've really been enjoying doing a daily sketchbook, and I really recommend that you try it. And the easiest way I made drawing a daily habit was honestly the same way I make coffee a daily habit. I wake up, I make my coffee, and then as I make my coffee, I'll grab my sketchbook, grab my cup of coffee once it's done brewing, and I sit down at the dining room table as I would to have breakfast, except I'm just now having my cup of coffee and drawing. And I think that's a really fun way to just start that habit. It's just showing up and doing it. You don't have to have a sketchbook. If you have a sticky note, use a sticky note. If you don't want to draw something in depth or detail, don't. Just scribble. And I think like the abstract faces, those took less than maybe 30 seconds to a minute to draw some of these things. And then once I got into it and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool, this is fun. I'm not really judging my work, and you don't need it to look good. I think that's really cool about this, is that this is just for you to practice. Not everything is going to turn out good, and some of this looks horrendous, but that's why I'm showing you, because you can't make good art without bad art, and bad art is actually a fundamental to getting there. And I think what's really important to help in any artist or creative process is that once you can recognize what you've drawn, if you can see it, not everyone will see it, but if you can look at something and say, oh, that's really good, or oh, that's not good at all, that's actually really important that you can identify things that look good or don't look good, or something that looks realistic, because some people, they can't tell. Like, for example, that you can tell it's a hand, but that's not a very well done hand, you know what I mean? But then you have some fun modern abstract faces, and those can be fun and funky. But I think there's a balance between what is art and what makes art good, and that's, of course, is a a very deep conversation that we could spend more than this video on discussing what qualifies as that, because really it's like how beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's kind of like that with art, and you yourself get to express. That's all this is. It's expressing yourself in a different form and showing up for yourself and being confident. That's all it is. It's creating confidence and how to be more of a confident artist by setting up the skills and fundamentals, which is a daily sketchbook. You won't get good if you don't draw. If you don't draw every day, you're not going to see improvement. If you don't draw every day, it's not going to get better. You know, you can't just wake up and expect to draw an amazing portrait, because typically that's not everyone's experience. I'd like to think it's 20% talent, 80% hard work. I think anyone can truly learn to draw, but it's just showing up and putting in the daily practices. And so here I am, just kind of flipping through the rest of my sketchbook. As you can see, I'm starting to progress further, and we can really start to see a type of style that I'm starting to draw in and illustrate. And it's been really cool to kind of see my style or overall tone when drawing. So I've really never been able to find my own artistic style, but I was able to kind of help me get closer by doing a daily sketchbook journal. And I had a lot of fun once I started learning how to make little cartoony fun faces and all these other things. And you just have to remember to have fun with it. That's all this is. We're just having fun. We're setting up a daily practice to help us improve. And with that being said, I hope you take time to, devote to create and make something fun and do it for yourself. And no one has to see this. No one has to see what's in your sketchbook. You're only doing it for yourself and for your overall wanting to improve, or even just dive deeper into being an artist. And I think that's what's really fun about this, is when you're drawing, you're also learning, and you're learning more and more about yourself and what you can and can't do as far as, how you're visually seeing things and how you read them and how you can draw them on paper. And you can see some of these are just horrendous, like the straw and cup. And some of these are just not going to be good. It's just recognizing that is really important. But then once you see some things that are more composed or have a more, fun undertone to it, that's when the fun starts to happen. When you start to actually devote the time and you start to really see those improvements. But you can't get there without doing it. So with that being said, I'm gonna keep flipping through my sketchbook and let you enjoy.